Hello everyone, welcome to Homeschool Autism Life. My name is Jamie. Today's video I'm going to be talking about Gather Around Homeschool, our next unit for the 2025 start in January. We are doing chemistry. And so this one I'm looking forward to because I've done a few videos, or excuse me, not videos. I've had my children do some science with chemistry, but it's always been very much over their heads and a little bit too much. Not enough play, not enough like things that would, like when you're talking about H2O and CO2 and like, you can really get into the weeds with this particular topic of chemistry. And I think that, I never took chemistry in high school because I knew myself, the artist was like, and I feel like my girls are kind of feeling the same way. And so I had her do it for a little while, and then her test scores were so low that I was like, let's just move on to more animal science and whatever. So there's some science that I feel like lends itself more to kids and the way their brains work, and chemistry, physics are those sciences that are just like way too much right away. And so I've been looking forward to this Gather Round unit because she writes specifically for even younger kids, and my kids are older, but that just meant that I needed to do a little bit more research. Oh, I forgot something. I'm just noticing it. I don't know where I got this. I will see if I can try and find it. There is a elements.wlank.com, but this periodic table actually talks about the elements that are in the world. I'm sorry, my light is, it's a very snowy, dreary day today, so there's some, like, my manufactured sun is working very hard right now. But essentially it talks about the different elements, but where we actually see it used in life. And so, yeah, like helium balloons and whatever. So this one is something that I'm looking forward to sharing with my kids, because I think it might help that like divide. Anyway, I've told you a few times that one of the things that I love to do is do a banner over our homeschool table. And so I always forget to do this before because I'm like, I'm not supposed to do this until after, but I did it anyway. So it's going to be a little reflecty, but I made this banner and then I tape it together and I put it on the thing. So I thought I go to Google, I look up chemistry pictures in high definition, and then I download them and print them on my printer, and that's it. And then I hang it up. Sometimes there's banners that are like pre-made for schools, like Teachers Pay Teachers. I have used some of those, but yeah, my kids are getting to the age where like the drawn ones aren't necessarily their favorite. So I usually like to share what our read aloud is and what I'm assigning my girls as their readers. So each unit, if you're new here, each unit, we do read aloud, and then my kids also do assigned readers, and then they write either a book report or a letter to the author of the book. And those are the things that I like to do to have them just expand a little bit more on the subject. But they have the 6 weeks it takes us to do a unit to read that book and then do their paperwork after about it. And I feel like that really gives them just a different glimpse into the same topic. So for this one, I had heard about this book from a friend of mine. Yeah, and she said this one was so good because, again, it talks about the practicalities of chemistry, the periodic table in particular, in a fun kind of goofy way. And so I'm really looking forward to reading that book. My daughter, I gave her two choices to read this one, and this is called Stuff Matters, Exploring the Marvelous Materials That Shape Our Man-Made World. and it's why is glass see-through? What makes elastic stretchy? Why does any material look or behave the way it does? She decided not to read this one. Instead, she decided to read this one on Marie Curie, and it talks not just about her, but there's lots of different scientists that she crossed paths with, and they go kind of deep dive into those individuals in her life. There's the radium. They talk about the different things that happened in her life as well. But yeah, no, she decided to read this one. There's a whole thing about Albert Einstein. So she is going to read that one. And then this one is the one I'm having my Sienna read. She is getting to be quite the reader, but still I want to make sure that it's not too difficult and too, she can get overwhelmed really quickly if I give her, say, this book and say, have at her. But if something looks like this, it's a little less intimidating, even though there's a lot of reading to do. And Marie Curie, I believe. Oh, she might not be in here, actually. I thought she was. But she talks about different scientists in this book. And then there's other ones that aren't, but I still want her to read about it. There's lots of amazing scientists in this one. Astronomer. Sorry if you hear me like I've ended up being sick the last week or so. Chemist and climatologist. So there's lots of books for her there's a lot for her to read in here, but also it will keep her kind of like mellow and calm because it's not overwhelming. It's 3 or 4 pages on each scientist, and then anyone that strikes her fancy, she can write her report on, or a couple of them, whatever works. All right, as far as the other things I like to have around the house for them to look at is I got this DK Smithsonian, The World in Pictures, the Elements book. So this one will definitely be something that they can pull out and look at. Again, really focusing on the actual uses of the elements. So it's not just chemical equations and stuff. It's actually, this is what we actually use, these elements, in our day-to-day life. And I really feel like that is something that, like microscopic copper wires, like this one is a really good one, and I spent extra money on this one because I knew that was something that I really, really wanted. I got a few younger books. When I buy these books, again, I'm buying them in the December before September. So there are times where I'll see a book, and I buy a lot of my books off of bookoutlet.ca. My brain is like, what is that called? The DK book I specifically bought off of Amazon, but when you look at bookoutlet.ca, they don't always let you look inside to see what the book looks like. So it's a combination of me looking at it and going, I think this is good, based on the little description they give. But I also think that, it's always fun to have some younger books along with your really heavy duty books, right? So I'll have something like this, and then I'll have something like this, right? So this one is The Chemistry of Disgusting Things. And it just has like some fun activities that you could do, like make slime, lipids. And there's your little cartoon Albert Einstein. It's things like that I kind of like fight against lime scale. So I've got that book. And then another one that ended up being kind of like a little young, but I think is also fun, is this Fairy Tale Science. explore 25 classic tales through hands-on experiments. Um, so yeah, we're talking about the wicked older woman, the handsome prince, the big bad wolf, and the damsel in distress. So that's their stock characters. And then they do one bad apple with the story of the seven dwarfs. And it's just a short little story about that. And then let's explore the science on that. Under what conditions might a person appear to be clinically dead but then recover? And then they talk about the scientific scoop of that. And then you can try this, which is, I think, calculate the rate at which your heart is beating. So it's just kind of silly and goofy, and I kind of like that for, again, taking a topic of chemistry and kind of like bringing it down to silly. So the not silly is this big book. Again, this one is Gunpowder to Graphene, 250 Milestones in the History of Chemistry. So they're going to be talking about different scientists who found hydrogen cyanide, photochemistry. But again, this one could be considered a little more heavy. This one, the helium balloon. Okay, natural gas, mountains of sulfur. And because we live in Alberta in the country, we see those all the time. So this one is a lot of fun. I think that, it's something that my kids could flip through, but then later as they're in high school, maybe taking chemistry, maybe not, but it's a fun book to have. The periodic tables. Like the alphabet, the calendar, and the zodiac, the periodic table of chemical elements has a permanent place in our imagination. And so he talks, again, a lot about a cultural history of the elements. So again, not as, there's a lot of reading to be done there. So, this is the last one. So I got this. Again, I spent quite a bit of money on this one, but the photographic card deck of the elements. So when I went through Gather Around Homeschools, the teacher guide, I noticed that every lesson we place the periodic table or the elements on the periodic table. So we're essentially building our own periodic table. And so what I loved about this is I can, before the lesson, pull out whatever we're doing. Is that, oh no, that's not gold. Aluminum. But I can pull out those ones and we can actually talk about it, and I can have like a really clear visualization of what it is. And so, ooh, pretty. So it's one of the things that I wanted to have because, again, my girls are very visual learners, and so I wanted that visual when I'm talking about whatever element I'm talking about. I can pull it up and show them. So that is what we're going to be doing for the next 6 weeks in our homeschool with my girls. And of course, Darian will be in the background listening. But I'm very excited. I think that it's a good one to kind of start off and be like, okay, we're back to school, back to the grind. And I think it's going to be the way Gather Round does it is it's not too much, it's not too overwhelming. And I really truly feel like it's one of those things with the books that I've picked and stuff, and the read aloud and all of that. There's going to be a lot of great conversations that come out of it. So I hope that this has been a helpful video for you if you're thinking about looking at the Gather Round Homeschool's Chemistry Unit. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and have a wonderful homeschool day. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.